Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Monday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, the Big and Furry Bovine. I am not 100% from what happened to me, and I'm going to do the best I can today. So that's what we asked of the Browns. That's what I ask of myself. I hope everybody out there is doing well. Thank you, Gemini. Yesterday was a real grind. I mean, a really didn't want to be there kind of thing, but felt that I needed to be. Today is just not great. Still having some breathing issues from this, but not as bad as yesterday. And I got my ice bag ready to go on the bad part of my spine, which is what helps me. And I went to two drugstores before I could actually find one. Amazing, isn't it? And thank you, Christopher Milton Sr. I appreciate it. Thank you. Start out today's show. It is Victory Monday, and you would never have known it by watching my halftime and post-game shows. But yes, indeed, the Browns won. And the first article I see on Cleveland.com, it says winners and losers from Browns Week 6 win over the 49ers. And all I care about are the losers. That would be the 49ers. They lost. They lost. They took the L. They're the loser. Okay. I mean, it's not even something that is debatable.
Or negotiable either.
They lost. Okay. And when they came in and started a fight, there's so much I wanted to say yesterday, and I don't want to get too excited doing this today, but I'll tell you this. They came out, and what I've told you folks in the past is that people believe that the Browns are the whipping boy of the league, and they can come in and into the home stadium where the fans, those piece of shit fans who are negative, who booed Deshaun Watson, they can treat themselves to a home game away because the fans are already halfway to quitting. And so they come in, and there were the 49ers, 16 wins in a row, and regular season wins, and walk in, and they're going to pick on the weak kid in the block. Plain and simple. They started up with the Browns and tried to kick sand in our face, and they lost. They deserve to lose. 100 times over, they deserve to lose. If they were as great as everybody said they were, they wouldn't have had to have gone down to the wire. It wouldn't have been a result of a final kick or anything like that. It would have had nothing to do with that at all. But that's the way the game went. And yes, there was sloppy weather. And no, Brock Purdy isn't perfect. No football player is perfect. Anybody, like Moody, can make a mistake. So can Brock Purdy. So can Deshaun Watson, you haters. And that's, it's what it is. They lost. They are no longer undefeated. And they lost to a team that was hurting far more than they were.
Oh, God, yeah.
They came in, and after that little skirmish, they came in, went down the field with the help of the Browns being overly aggressive, and they were laughing at us, saying, look what we did to them. We fucked their head up, and now they're creating penalties. I knew it would work, but it ain't the past. This defense is for real. They were questioned by the 49ers, questioned by the media, questioned by everybody. Now, do you believe it? Let me share with you something that I'm just pulling up on my screen now. These are the things that just make me shake my big cow head. And when I look at ESPN, and you have to feel that it's not like a ton of people were watching the 49ers and the Browns. Let's be honest. Everybody figured.
No, they weren't.
They knew what was going to happen in that game. So you go to the recap. And, From dominant to defeated in less than a week, the San Francisco 49ers were reminded there are no perfect teams or givens in the NFL. Brock Purdy suffered his first loss as a starter, blah, 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 blah. All right. The one guy who is a stand-up guy is Nick Bosa. And he tells the truth. Quote, I don't think we deserve to win. We did not underestimate them, but they did play better than us. We haven't lost in a long time in the regular season, so it hurts a lot more.
Wow.
All right. So, there are people who took responsibility. Brock Purdy. I didn't play at the standard I needed to. We feel like we failed our own expectations. I just have to be better and make the throws. Man, it's the NFL. When you get opportunities, you got to take care of them. There are plays that we didn't make. It's on me, said Moody, who missed a 54-yarder in the first half before the 41-yarder sailed right. And thank you to Hammer Time in Columbus, who sent me a photo of what the rookie kicker didn't take into account. He was looking at the flags on the goalposts that were still.
Oh, right.
And the flag that's up on the upper left is blowing right. And I think
the Phil Dawson flag. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And I think the combination of that and the rush that was put on by Denzel Ward, that's what happened. This entire, what I'm reading to you right now, was changed by the people at ESPN.
Really?
Yesterday, all it was a recounting of how McCaffrey couldn't play, how Deebo Samuel couldn't play, and how their number one lineman, Williams, is that his name?
Yeah, Trent Williams.
Yeah, he was hindered and wasn't up to snuff. And it was nothing but excuses from the national media. And I just want to remind everybody, and I especially want to say, that Shanahan and his somber, short 5-minute press conference acknowledged that Cleveland played well on defense, although he knew that we were a good defensive team. But the fact of the matter is, lifetime, he's 1-8 against Jim Schwartz defenses.
Yeah.
Fact.
And you know what? It looked like Schwartz knew what plays were going to be called almost. You know how it is when we run a game against the Steelers and they know what we're calling? Well, it looked like we knew what the 49ers were calling. So.
Yeah. I mean, what's funny about it is that this is the boy wonder. We know he was in Cleveland.
God, yeah.
He was in Cleveland. This is the boy wonder. He's the great offensive mind, but he's 1-8 against this guy. So what does Schwartz know that other people who are playing this team don't know? But we don't have to tell him now, do we?
Yeah, let's not figure it out either.
But the fact of the matter is that Jim Schwartz's dick is way bigger than Shanahan's, and that's the reason he pussies out and gives a 5-minute press conference. And when he's asked to reiterate, he refuses to reiterate or explain anything except to say mistakes on offense cost the game, not the missed field goal. So, the mistakes on offense fall at his feet.
Yep.
So that's what I can tell you about that. So he's also a loser. All right. I don't consider anybody but the whole team in Cleveland to be a winner. There are going to be people who, people say, well, PJ Walker, he's a winner, And if you look at the Cleveland.com article and, the winners and the losers as they see it, they're criticizing Shanahan's clock management, which at the end was hardly groovy, and Amari Cooper and, but I am not going to, sit there and say that PJ Walker blew me away, because he did not. And he knew he wasn't supposed to throw that third down pass, and he threw it anyway. And I mentioned this a little bit yesterday, but when you defy what you're told to do in order to try to be a hero. The fact of the matter is, folks, there's a reason why PJ Walker has bounced around all these teams, why he throws so many interceptions. And the fact of the matter is, you got to keep your head at all times. And this is not a hero situation. Of course, we all wanted a touchdown at that point, but not forcing it into triple coverage. All right.
Yeah.
So, for those people who say, well, he's better than DTR, I would imagine the first time PJ Walker played in the NFL, if he would have been so much better than DTR, he wouldn't have been cast into the XFL now, would he?
Yeah.
I mean, how did he end up in the fucking XFL? Because there was nobody in the NFL who wanted him. That's the reason. And that's the reason why. The 7 touchdown passes, 12 interceptions in his career. That's why. So, just so you know, I'm not going to praise somebody who defies instructions from the sidelines. Here's another thing that really doesn't get much talked about. The Cleveland Browns rushed for 160 yards against that defense. And, I was reading how shitty Jerome Ford is, yet Jerome Ford was the drive at the end of the game.
He had about 90 yards in the game, didn't he?
Yeah, but I mean, and he got them when they counted the most.
Yep.
He had a 15-yarder and a 14-yarder and a 22-yarder, I want to say, on the drive that ended up with the field goal that ended up winning the game. So Kareem Hunt looked a little bit more like Kareem Hunt. He's not in shape. It's exactly what I thought it was. He's not. When you take off time, you might be in the gym, but that ain't getting hit. And I would be the first to admit that Jerome Ford ain't Nick Chubb. He doesn't have the vision. You could see there were a number of plays where he could have cut left and he was indecisive and they swallowed him up. You can't be indecisive at this level. I'm not going to tell you that Jerome Ford is a great running back. What I'm going to tell you is, at 4.9 average yards per carry, which was boosted by that last drive, because up to that point, he didn't do a hell of a lot. He needs to improve vision, and sometimes running backs cannot do that. But he was not expected to be a starting running back. And in fact, in this game, Kareem Hunt was the starting running back. So you can, but that 160 yards is a big part of winning this football game.
Sure.
And we talked about this 192 yards passing, but 160 yards rushing. And that's the way you win with the backup quarterback. It's the only way. And with a great defensive performance, of course, too. Amari Cooper made a great catch. And, 4 passes for 108 yards. That's a great game with a backup quarterback. And fortunately, Walker had the sense to throw the ball to him. So that's important. And of course, Dustin Hopkins, because we had to sit through Cade York for too long. And he missed one, kind of the same way that the other guy missed one. But, the fact is, when he had to make it, he made it.
Yeah, I mean, his kicking is a lot more assertive than York. You could tell that York was tentative every time he went out there.
But he was yanking the ball. His mechanics were completely screwed up. And you see this guy, and even the miss, the ball was in the general area code of going through.
Yeah. It was in the same camera shot. Yeah.
Exactly. There isn't somebody in the side of the stadium jumping up to catch the ball. But, he hasn't hooked anything that I would call a true duck hook. But nobody makes 100%, but he's showing that he can kick the ball over 50 yards, which is something that was questioned when he was picked up off the waiver wire. Some of the numbers that the clevelandbrowns.com is sharing, which I think are logical numbers to talk about, that the 49ers faced their first second half deficit after the 46-yard field goal with 2:59 left in the third quarter by Hopkins. Their psychology, they were losing. It
Yeah.
never entered their mind that they were coming to Cleveland to lose until then. And then when the Browns got that final drive and kicked that field goal, they thought for sure after they moved the ball down the field, that field goal was going to go through, but it just didn't work out that way. You know, they only ran for 108 yards. That's their lowest of the season. Shanahan, we know, he's one who led Isaiah Crowell to that great year that he had. We know that his system is set up very similar to ours as far as the zone read. But again, they're going to say, well, we didn't have McCaffrey. Well, we don't have Chubb. So fuck you. That's not an argument. Okay.
Yeah, I'd rather have Chubb than McCaffrey.
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is each team would rather have their own guy, but when neither team had, our guys ended up getting the yardage. Their guys had nowhere to run.
Yep.
Purdy had a 55.3 passer rating. That's by far his lowest of the season. All right. He had the best passer rating amongst quarterbacks coming into the game. All right. Passing yards, 125 for Purdy. That's their lowest of the season. Here's one that never gets talked about, but it's the thing that I talked about preseason more than anything else. 5. Do you know what the number 5 represents?
Tackles for loss.
That's exactly right, Bronk. The number of times the defense tackled
I
them
listen
for
to the
loss.
program, don't I?
Yeah, but that's something that we haven't seen. And 3 of those 5 behind the line of scrimmage for loss tackles were by
probably Dalvin Tomlinson or JOK.
Yeah, that's right, JOK. Hey, El Presidente. Nice to see you. And thank you for your kind words. I do appreciate it. We're on the mend slowly but surely, and don't call me Shirley. And yeah, JOK, who's been playing great ball all season long.
Yeah, but he's been coached better this year. You could tell that he knows what he's doing instead of running around like a headless chicken, like going, "Where do I go? Where do I go?"
He's a missile that's finally got the right programming.
Exactly. I mean, those Scud missiles that used to go off and just go. That's what he was last year, but now he's sort of like a Patriot missile.
So when I complain about something and say we never hit people, we let them get ahead of steam, and you can see what happened. Even you take a team like the Titans. The Titans, Derrick Henry is not getting off the dime, but he had a massive run in the game. What was it? The London game?
Yeah, Ravens.
And he broke off a really long run. He didn't ever against the Browns because he couldn't get started because we're disrupting in the backfield. It's so damn important. I mean, if you want number grades, PFF numbers on 49 snaps, it was JOK, 89.8.
Wow.
And that passes.
I didn't know it was that good.
Well, it confirms the eye test.
Yeah.
Sometimes these numbers don't. Alex Wright, 73.4. Okoronkwo, who's really had a nice season, 36 snaps, 71.7. Myles Garrett at a 66.3. And Zadarius Smith, a 51.1. The eye test again, Dalvin Tomlinson with a 72.9. These are, Anthony Walker's out with a concussion, by the way. So he's in protocol. In the cornerbacks, interestingly enough, the cornerback play was not considered that great. I mean, our guys, Denzel Ward, a 54.5, Emerson, a 54.1, and Newsome, a 53.5. It's the safeties, Juan Thornhill with a 70.9. But the other 2 guys, McLeod, only a 54.1, and Delpit, I didn't even really hear his name called.
We didn't see him at all.
But he played more snaps than anyone, 62. Wow. So, that's what that is. So, again, numbers sometimes mean something, sometimes,
Well, it could be they schemed away from Delpit, but no, I didn't see him at all during the game or notice him. I'll have to go back and rewatch it. Tommy Togiai.
Yeah, that's what I was laughing at. What about
Yeah,
Tommy Togiai? it's like,
well, I know you're going to get to the offense, but the point I want to make about our offense was that without Batonio playing hurt, we actually looked better with a fit guy in the guard position. We weren't giving up tackles for loss on our side of the ball like they were giving up. We weren't getting overrun. That's why we were running the ball for 166. I think, I was criticizing Batonio the other week, and it's probably just because he was hurt and we never really knew about it.
No, Dennis Weaver can. I
Yeah,
have to
Dennis
correct
Weaver.
people. If
Gentle
it's
Ben.
Clint Howard.
Howard.
Yeah, if you want needless, meaningless
Clint
trivia, yeah, come to Mr. Moohead. He's
Gentle Moo.
Yeah. So Kevin Stefanski, the press, can you just give us any little more details on Deshaun Watson? Has he been throwing? Is he making progress? Is his arm getting a little stronger? And what do you expect him to be out there? When outside practicing? That was Mary Kay Cabbagehead. Now I'll tell you the rest of the question that didn't come out of her mouth. Why do you keep dancing me around and keep making me write shit that isn't true on the internet? You're making me look like the asshole that I am. Give me the scoop and I'll become that Hall of Fame person again. But you keep dancing me around and I write what you tell me and it turns out to be a lie.
Wow. Yeah, she should really just write gossip column stuff, or like, dear Mary Kay, I'm in this relationship and it's not working out. What should I do? I mean, that's the level she should be at. She shouldn't be doing sports journalism because she isn't.
Yeah, and he was thinking of Cannon. My mother used to call William Conrad Boom Boom Cannon. Honest to God, because
Wow.
she heard the earth move under his feet. It was really bizarre when William Conrad, who you knew, who could not possibly run for more than like 50 feet, would be chasing somebody with a gun. That was one of the most bizarre programs ever. And for those people,
who you haven't done, the voice you haven't done for a while?
Huh?
Mark.
Well, I will maybe if I feel up to it later. Yeah.
Bring me my dashiki.
For those betting people who are really into gambling,
don't. Anyway.
I'm sorry if you put your money on Mary Lou Retton and not Suzanne Summers. Okay, just saying.
Wow.
I know it's not funny.
Yeah, don't be surrounded by friends and family. The minute you get surrounded by friends and family, that's when you die. So, that's if you avoid that, have no friends and family about, you'll be fine.
This will be the only voice, Bronk. Mark, could you bring me an iron lung, please? I'm having trouble breathing. See, and that even, anything that projects like that is not good for me. Yeah. So his answer to Mary Kay Cabbagehead was, yeah, we'll know more as the week progresses. He's working through his rehab, which does include throwing, but not going to get into specifics past that. But he's making progress for sure. And that's his way of saying, I opened my mouth up once and the wrong shit came out. And please don't fire me. Please. Please. My offense doesn't do very well. Please don't fire me. Okay. And he reiterated it's day to day.
Day to day. Aren't we all?
Yeah. He thinks he's in the musical Godspell.
Day by day.
That's right. Somebody would, and I'm not going to even go into his stupid press conference because why in the hell?
I can't watch him. I cannot watch him on the press conference for more than 30 seconds and want to turn it off. I just can't. It just aggravates me.
It's like somebody going around in circles, That's no, I cannot do Drew Brennan today, or else I'll pass out.
No, that's too hard.
Yeah. See, I'm taking deep breaths just doing what I'm doing.
Mm.
Yeah. But the domination of Schwartz over Shanahan's offense is really an interesting sidelight to this whole thing. And they've looked so unbeatable, 30 plus points every game,
Yeah.
But
Well, we all said that we were going to lose. I mean, I would have, I don't think I was on the program for Friday, but I would have said we were going to lose by 2 touchdowns had I been on it. So,
all right, and here's what George Kittle, the tight end for the
George Kittle.
49ers, said after the game, and he said it to the Cleveland media about Shanahan. He's our offensive coordinator, Kittle said. He calls all the plays, so I'm assuming he takes a lot of that blame or credit for that loss. Way to go, George.
Wah, 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 wah. Sad
Hoo-ah.
noise.
Yeah, and that's why he was so pissed off, Shanahan, at his 5-minute press conference, because the size of his penis was exposed. Somebody took the shot in the shower, and then they found Schwartz in the shower, and the big dong versus the little shriveled dick.
Wow.
Boy, Ken, I never watched that program.
Take it to that, man.
All I knew about William Conrad is he was the voice, the narrator in the Rocky and Bullwinkle stuff, all the way many years before he was a fat private investigator. Yeah. But it's great watching the other team be irritated by questions after they lose. And what's next?
Well, like I said, has anybody said that we need to string 2 wins in a row? Has anybody put that up in the media?
Well, I mean, what it comes
to say, we need to win next week.
It is all week by week, and we are 3-2. The Ravens are 4-2. The Ravens were not impressive. Don't let the media talk up Lamar Jackson. He again beat them with his legs, not with his arm. And they were in a position where they were in trouble.
They were.
Against a team they should never have had any difficulty with.
Yeah, and I struggled to watch that game because bloody Rich Eisen was doing the commentary.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah, and he is. I mean, I hate quite a few commentators, but he is probably my number one hate. Oh my God, he is.
Yeah, but again, it's the way that I look at it is the game came down to, in the end, the last play, and you're only as good as the last thing you did, and that's what they have to go home with. That's the unfortunate reality. Here's another quote from the 49ers that, again, this is going to piss off Kyle Shanahan. We already talked about Nick Bosa talking, but let's see if here's another thing he said. We needed to match their intensity, and we let up too much, Bosa said. Definitely a learning experience of how teams are going to attack us, especially teams who know our scheme because they run a similar scheme. Just have to take it as a learning experience. I don't think we deserve to win today. But the other thing Bosa said was they schemed us up pretty good.
It did.
They were getting the edge on us, which is something we take pride in, setting edges and turning things back into the teeth of the defense. They did a really good job of scheming us up, and that is our defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So they're definitely talking like losers. They were losers. There's no question. For any Browns fans who still are dissatisfied with the fact that the defense gave up too many yards at the end of the game that resulted in the missed field goal, just shut the fuck up. We're 3-2. The Ravens are 4-2 and didn't look for shit. And the Bengals scored on their first 2 possessions of the game and only put 3 more points on the board for the rest of the game.
Can I tell you something about the Bengals? I'll give you the funny stat of the day. Their 3 wins are against all of the NFC West teams other than the 49ers. They have beaten Seattle, they have beaten the Rams, they have beaten the Cardinals. They haven't beaten anybody with a decent football team yet this year.
Yeah. Well, and the fact of the matter is that, so they're back at 3-3. We're
They're
at 3-2, and the Steelers, what are the Steelers? Oh, they had a bye week, didn't they?
I think they're 3-2 now. Or
Yeah. So, I mean, it's all bunched up.
yeah, we're in third place. We're in
But-
third place.
Yeah. But
I'm a tiebreaker.
if you think that the Ravens are head and shoulders above, they're just not proving that. And the Bengals, they started out, it started like, oh boy, Joe Burrow's going to really rack up the score, man. And it didn't happen. So, but we still have to beat the Steelers and the Ravens, and we
Yep.
still have to do that, and we haven't done that. So you're not going to hear me talking trash. We deserve to be behind teams that we haven't beaten.
Correct.
But
We are.
now are the Steelers and the Ravens going to play the 49ers?
Oh yeah. We all play the NFC West, so we get to play the Cardinals and the Seahawks and the Rams later in the year. So yeah, that's our division this year, and good job it is because it's one of the weaker ones.
Yeah.
I mean, Seattle on their day can be good. I mean, they gave the Lions a really good game.
No, I'm not criticizing the Seahawks, although Geno Smith is not a guy who's going to put up tons of points on the board.
Yeah, he's mediocre. He's in the Baker Mayfield level of quarterbacking, I would
But
say.
the Bengals had, the Seahawks, coming at them at the end of the game twice in the not just in the red zone, but inside the 10-yard line.
Yeah.
And 4 down territory, and they failed on all 4 attempts, to get into the end zone. And again, Geno Smith, he's had a nice year. He's proven at times that he can do some things, but he's not really, in my mind, anything more than a backup quarterback who has red zone trouble, and that's not uncommon.
Yeah, I mean, he's in the bottom 20 to 30 other quarterbacks out there that'll play during the week.
Thank you,
the
David.
Steelers lost to the
Yep.
49ers in the first week of the season. They got absolutely mullered by them.
Yeah, and I see Amsterdam. Yeah, Florida weather's cooled off. Of course, needless to say, here it's plenty cold and going to get colder.
You'll be all right if you have to stay a bit longer, Moo. You'll live.
Yeah. As long as somebody was asking about Christopher was asking about how Rocks is doing day by day by day. This is a very slow process. We could be here for a good long time because there's no way I'm letting her get on an airplane until we know that is dissolved. That clot in her lung is dissolved. We're not gonna go through that. So
how do they check that? Is that like an X-ray thing, or is it a?
This is
how do they check it? Like
well,
blood
and
count?
that's a hell of a question because they don't usually do a second scan. It becomes a symptomatic thing that when your breathing returns to normal, the feeling is
okay then.
Yeah, that you're doing okay and that it would be all right. But the thing is, I wait and wait for a couple of reasons. One, this is going to put us into the holiday rush flying back to Florida. And it's not going to be easy finding
and automobiles.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy finding a flight. And second of all, there's Topaz and his doggy transport. They every 2 weeks do their run. And so, if it comes out that, we decided on a Monday that, not this Monday, but some Monday that we could going to go back, well, then I have to start looking for a flight, and then I have to contact the transport company to see when they can come up and pick Topaz up. So that'll be longer. And if we're starting out a 2-week run, we could be waiting 2 weeks more. All right. So
Sure.
it's going to be a while until we get back there, and we're buying warm clothes, and we're going to do the best we can and hang out up here. And that's what that is. So,
Well,
so-
if we actually have a good season, you might enjoy being up in the Cleveland area if we start stringing some wins together and go 8-2 instead of 4-4 or 4-5 or whatever.
yeah. And no, Ken, my back and spine will not allow me to drive that kind of distance. Hell no. Got to fly. It's a 2-hour and 15-minute flight. And that's uncomfortable enough. God only knows. As far as the Bengals are concerned, Joe Burrow is 24 of 35, but only 185 yards, 1 interception. He was sacked 3 times, and Cincinnati only rushed the ball for 46 yards, but they won.
Yeah.
But that is not an astounding victory.
Yeah, they're not an elite team.
So, none of us are. And the Ravens are the best of the bunch.
Yeah.
But none of these teams are going to go out and beat in the playoffs anybody back to back to back.
If you put any of our teams having to go away to Miami or away to Buffalo or away to Kansas City, I can't see anybody from the AFC North winning in any of those games.
Yeah, and so again, it's kind of like the Cavaliers. You got to
the playoffs. Yeah,
you got to the playoffs, and then you're out. You're one and done.
Yeah, you're not going to beat the Celtics. You're not going to beat the Sixers, and you certainly didn't beat the Knicks. So it's a lot like that.
Yeah, and who knows? What somebody's draw will end up being in essence in the playoffs, and the Ravens could easily win a game in the playoffs.
We're the 7th seed, so at the moment we'd get absolutely fucked by whoever is the 2nd seed.
I mean, yeah. I think if the Browns made it to the playoffs, everybody would be thrilled, but then they'd all piss and moan when we lose.
When we get pounded.
Yeah, that's the way it works. The next thing I wanted to talk a little bit about, because I'm kind of running a little low on gas here. Is people in the media are now calling for Bill Belichick to be replaced. And
really?
Yeah. You're not going to believe who it was.
Oh, what is it? Somebody national?
Somebody on a national network.
Let me guess. Stephen A. Smith.
No.
Well, am I cold? Am I cold or hot?
Cold. His ex-player, Teddy Bruschi.
Teddy Bruschi,
the ex-linebacker from the Patriots. He said it's time. And
how old is Belichick? He's not young, is he?
Well, here's the thing. He's talking about what Bruschi said that I thought was very interesting, and it was a very interesting take. He said Belichick was always coaching for playoff position, playoff win, Super Bowl win. Now the number is 18. 18 to pass Shula. The only thing he's coaching for is his own personal record. And the bottom line is Mac Jones was 24 of 33 for 200 yards, but he got sacked in the fucking end zone for a safety. And basically, Garoppolo came out of the game because he's hurt. And who came on the field? Brian Hoyer.
Brian Hoyer, yeah. I was just going to say that.
6 of 10 for 102 yards, and he kind of piled on Belichick. But Belichick has never had any offensive instincts in his life, and he was riding the coattails of Brady, and now we're starting to hear it in the national media, which I thought was interesting. Here's another one that is even more makes you scratch your head. Like, this is why I wish that Stefanski would do the same. Panthers head coach Frank Reich turning over the play calling duties for the rookie quarterback Bryce Young to offensive coordinator Thomas Brown.
Wow.
Brown is going to become the third African American offensive play caller currently in the NFL, joining Eric Bieniemy and Brian Johnson of the Eagles. They're 0-6 for God's sakes. Something's got to give. He claims he was not pushed by owner David Tepper, but obviously Reich knows that he's replaceable with an 0-6 record. And I wish somebody would. I wish we would have somebody else calling our plays, because what happened before the half
was an outrage.
I mean, it's the kind of thing that, one score in that game is like 2 or 3 in any other game.
Yeah.
And to do what he did and to rush to the line of scrimmage when you're in the shadows of your own goalpost, it was just an unbelievable thing. But so now we have a precedent. And as long as there's a precedent, I'm all for Stefanski giving up the play calling at least. But the fact is, it looks like Alex Van Pelt doesn't want it. And the fact is that Belichick, listen to me, Stefanski is going to have to be released at the end of the year, because the offense just isn't going anywhere. And it's not gonna. He's so focused on micromanaging, it's ridiculous. I don't know if you saw the video that was circulating around Twitter and on social media.
I wouldn't have, because I'm not on Twitter.
It was one of the drills they were doing, and the running backs, it was one of the ball security drills.
Oh, God.
And they're running, how they high step through,
Oh, what, the hoops or whatever those things
right,
are.
Right. They're,
ramps or.
Yeah. But there's guys with brooms poking at the ball, honest to God, poking at the ball while they're doing
That's like the old Gladiator program, or we had in England a program called It's a Knockout, where you had to go across like a rolling pylon and people hit you with these like padded brooms and shit. Oh, that's ridiculous.
It really is ridiculous. And it's the kind of negative reinforcement I was talking about. I'm looking at that video and shaking my head and saying, before the fucking game begins, you're just telling people, you better not do it. You better not do it. Now, what do you think they're going to do?
Wow.
Yeah, just ridiculous. The Rams running back Kyren Williams, ankle likely out versus the Steelers, which is better for him because it turns out he has a sprained ankle. But if he'd have played against the Steelers, you see, he would have had his season ended by a late hit.
Yeah.
And it's not just Kyle Hamilton, it's Minkah Fitzpatrick. Don't let them fool you. They're all the same person. These two teams are dangerous, dangerous people. And the league needs to step in and do something about, I mean, look, I know it's a physical game, but this is ridiculous to launch intentionally the way Kyle Hamilton did a second time. He got away with it the first time, but what he did the second time was so hateful. It is worse than, it's assault. It's literally assault. And he just ramrodded him with the crest of his helmet intentionally, and they're complaining. Yeah, well, I can't believe they threw him out of the game. Well, of course, you're the fucking Ravens. You can get away with that. Ray Lewis could stand there while a guy was stabbed. He can get away with it. He can get into the Hall of Fame for being a fucking assault artist. Ben Roethlisberger can get away with being a women's assailant and or assaulter and get away with it. It's not an even fair 52 card deck for every team. And I was glad to see them take that step. One more, I say he's gone for the year. And I mean, honestly, there's no room for that. This game's dangerous enough as it is. Just no excuses for that. So that's what I have today. I'm thrilled that the Browns won, and I'm with you, Bronk, on the fact that now you've got to take that on the road, and you got to prove that you can go in on a road game, which we haven't proven that we can do.
Yeah.
And I don't care who it's against, because they came to our place and the 49ers walked out losers. The Colts are not having a good year. They're 1-5. We could go into their stadium.
Dangerous team.
That's right. Well, they're all trap
team.
games. They're all waiting to win. I mean, and when they see a team that is shortchanged offensively, they're saying we can be in this game. And that's really, we prayed to the rain gods, and our prayers were answered. And Brock Purdy's little hands couldn't hold on to the ball properly, right? Oh, the Colts are 3-3. Well, then they're better than I give them credit for, but they got thwarted their last game and haven't really been looking like much of a team. But obviously, they're going to be up after getting demolished in their last game. They're going to be up for this one. So
yeah, I mean, it's not the most hostile stadium in the world, but it's still an away game. So, anyway.
And the last thing I want to say, just a little bit, tiny bit, about the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Okay.
I've watched both of their preseason games, and I understand that JB Bickerstaff is trying to pick up the tempo. This team is not built to run and gun. And I want to point out that Niang, who is the free agent pickup that we got, is slow. I'm going to tell you that Max Strus is slow. He couldn't even stay up with Franz Wagner of the Orlando Magic, who is beating him like a kettle drum. I understand you want to pick up the tempo because we were last in the league in rate of speed of play, but that's, if you don't have the right personnel. I mean, we got people not just to run up and down the floor like crazy people. That's how the Orlando Magic won against us in the preseason, because they love to run up and down the floor. We're a team now that's got guys who can shoot from the corners and from behind the arc. And we've got two great guards who can set them up, and teams are going to have to account for more bodies on the floor.
Yeah, they don't have to slough off Isaac Okoro or whoever we had standing in the corner and just basically not guard him.
Right. But the other thing is, it's not just grabbing the rebound and running like a crazy motherfucker up the court. It's what we have to stop doing is coming over the midcourt line and dribble, then get into our play set with 12 seconds left on the clock.
Okay.
We got to get into the play set quicker, but that doesn't mean you got to run like racehorses up and down the floor. So I hope somebody understands the difference within the Cavaliers organization, because Bickerstaff, I'm not real thrilled with as far as an X's and O's coach. I think he's a player's coach, but you tell players we got to pick up the pace and got to run up and down the floor. You're going to end up with Loyola Marymount basketball, because they ain't going to play the defense that got them into the playoffs last year.
Well,
so
what exactly is rate of play? I mean, what does that actually entail? Like,
I think that how
that?
many seconds you utilize in each offensive set. When how many quick sets do you run with a lot of time left on the shot clock versus?
So it's like when you how long deep into the shot clock you go.
I believe that is
you do, or how much you just have one guy holding onto the ball for 20 seconds, or
well, yeah. I mean, I think the shot clock is the main the main basis of that. There may be something that they factor in mathematically. But I can tell you, again, the eye test was that there was way too many times that Darius Garland or
just loping up the court with the ball and just dribbling
coming across the midcourt line, waiting for the guy to come up and set the screen to begin the action of the set, and waiting way too long. And same thing with Donovan Mitchell, just waiting for somebody to come up. This year, there's going to be more offense being run through Evan Mobley. This we see. I'm going to be interested in seeing, these preseason games don't mean a whole hell of a lot. We're playing Tel Aviv Maccabi, one of those teams, and if they
David
come out in the
Black
court
will
with
be there.
yarmulkes and beat our ass, I'm not going to be very happy. But these are mainly to figure out who's gonna be on the roster and who isn't. And I think a lot of people are saying, "What about Amani Bates?" And and Amani Bates has played nicely against guys who probably are either going to be the bottom of a roster or not even on an NBA roster. G League kind of players. And I'm sure that Amani Bates will be one of the G League guys. He might get called up, periodically. Whether he actually gets minutes, hard to say. Question about Amani Bates is his attitude. I think you got to keep him working at the lower levels so he can learn how to play defense, learn how to move his feet defensively. But the one thing about the kid, he's only 19 going on 20, but he sure doesn't have a problem taking a big shot. He has ice water in his veins, and you're going to see him sooner or later. Mm-hmm. But I think there's way too much traffic in front of him because of the people like you take a look at what Amani Bates is, and he's a guy who's 6'7", and he's got the ball handling ability of a guard, and he's a 2/3. Okay. Well, the threes we've already with Niang and Strus. That's starter bench guy. Okay. So he's not going to get time as a 3. And the other guy who would be a 3/4 might be Dean Wade if he makes the roster this year. So where does Amani Bates fit in? You got to have a backup point guard, and it's surely not Amani Bates. And so there are a few guys fighting over that. And but I think he's going to be one of the 2 G League designees. And one of the guys, I think Sam Merrill's going to get cut off of the squad completely. But I just really hope that the Cavaliers understand they got to get into their play sets faster. But this running gun, you rebound and run, you're going to lose to teams who are younger, who are not real good at running half-court sets. You want to force teams into playing half-court sets, and nobody talks about the Miami Heat saying, "Oh, they got to speed it up." They're, a half court. They force you to slog through the half court. The Cavaliers have to do that too. You've got Jared Allen, if he's hustling and not injured. There's him, and you got Mobley, who's a real defensive player, and you got people who can body people up. You got to play half court defense, and you'll never get an opportunity if you're running up and down the court like a crazy motherfucker.
Yeah, and we don't have anybody like Kevin Love who used to throw those really long passes down court. You get the rebound and then throw it like 60 yards down the court.
Nothing wrong with fast breaking, but just to run, and the turnovers that we're committing during the course of the preseason is alarming because you can't give the ball up that much. And it's one of the reasons why teams like the Orlando Magic, who have some good young talent, Banchero and Wagner, and they have a group of players who are good young players, but the turnovers and they don't play defense. If you run with them, you're only helping them. So, all right, I'm done. And I will pass along everyone's well wishes for rocks, and I'm going to get some ice on the cervical part of my spine that is causing my difficulties. And I'm glad I made it through the show. And
the weather from Dick Goddard. Any weather from Dick Goddard?
Okay. I can do this. Wait.
Dick Goddard.
Oh, Kyle Shanahan. Oh, he missed it wide right. And he pushed the ball. Oh, your ego is crushed. Your penis appears withered. All right. So I do that.
Okay, fair.
And as far as Dick Goddard,
the Woolly Bears.
It's like looking outside the window. This is going to be difficult to do. Looking outside the window. There's nothing in Hinckley. No buzzards, no people. There's nobody there. It looks like an empty field, like it always has. And you know something? It's sunny, then it's raining, then it's sunny, then it's raining. How in the fuck am I supposed to know what to tell you? Should you do a picnic today? It's too fucking cold. Don't go on a picnic. Are the
Okay,
leaves
well,
going to change colors more? I don't know.
no.
Leave me alone. I'm dead.
I'm dead. Leave me alone.
All right, man. I'm out of here. Thanks a lot, Bronk, for joining me. I appreciate it. Thanks everybody for checking out the show today. And I'll be back at the end of the week, and I should be better by then. Until next time, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.